Hello, welcome to Clear Blue, our Westerly Ocean Ranger 38-foot yacht. Please don't be expecting a slick polished presentation with whizzy graphics and special effects. The idea of this video is to show the skipper and first mate how all the main functions of the boat actually work. Somewhere during the video there is a code word embedded which is not present on the YouTube version, and you will be asked what this code word is as evidence that both parties have watched the video from end to end. Shortly we'll go to the boat and start with the engine, and at any time you can start, stop, pause, rewind or begin again with this video. Once you've watched it to the end, please return the tablet to the office along with any questions you might have, and we'll be delighted to assist you. The engine on Clear Blue is located in the compartment behind the steps, and the easiest way to access it is to remove the steps and the board behind them, which all just lift out, and there is a further entrance point in the corridor that leads to the aft cabin. I'll remove those now and come back to you. During the course of a week's charter, you really shouldn't need to check anything in the engine space, but if your charter is 2 or 3 weeks or more, or if you just want to have a look in the engine space on a daily basis, you are of course very welcome to. The main things to check are oil level. The dipstick is here, just like a car. It has a high mark and a low mark, and the oil level should be between the two. There is a bottle of oil in the cockpit locker, and if it needs topping up, the filler is here. It's painted blue. We're now at the front of the engine, and one thing you should always check every time you start the engine is that water is coming out of the exhaust, cooling water from the engine. If it isn't, the first place to look is the water strainer, which is this grey box here. The top comes off just by hand tight. There is a strainer inside which will catch any jellyfish, plastic bag, that kind of thing that would block the water system. Scoop it out, throw whatever it is in the bilge and put the top back on. This is located well above the water level, so there is no fear of water coming into the boat. If clearing that water strainer doesn't cure the problem, the water pump is here, and if the rubber impeller is burnt out, there is a spare one in the engine spares kit. Just take the faceplate off, pull out the remains of the old one, push the new one in and replace the cover plate. The heat exchanger on this engine is the red box on top of the engine, which is fed from this silver tank. When the engine is stone cold, this tank should be about 3/4 full, fingertip depth. If it needs topping up, it's just tap water, fresh water, in the filler cap here. If you're nervous about doing things to the engine, then please don't feel the need to. Every engine is serviced before every customer takes the boat to sea. We're now at the navigation table of Clear Blue, and the instrument panel is clearly labelled. This device here just tells you how hard the battery charger is working. This device tells you the state of the domestic batteries. Think of it as a fuel gauge for your domestic batteries. More lights on, the better. Then the individual switches are all labelled: compass light, deck light, instruments, that's wind, depth, etc. Fridge, please remember to turn the fridge off when you're just under sail. It does consume an enormous amount of power, but if you're motoring or in a marina on shore power, please turn it on. It's extremely well insulated and does not need to be on all the time. The shower pump is for the shower drain, so this needs to be switched on here. Use the shower, and the rubber covered switch inside the shower cubicle, when pressed, will pump the grey water away. Water pump is for pressure at the domestic taps for freshwater systems. This switch turns the navigation lights on, and then this rocker switch here changes between tricolour at the top of the mast or bicolour forward and aft. This switch here turns on auxiliary navigation lights, anchor light and steaming light. Then at the right hand side, saloon lights, forward cabin lights, auxiliary 1 doesn't do anything, VHF for the VHF, GPS for the plotter, and the aft cabin lights. This control box here is for the heating system. The middle button is the on and off button. Press and hold for 5 seconds to light it, and when you want to turn it off, press and hold again for 5 seconds. Whilst it's running, temperature up, temperature down. These modern heaters start very easily. There is no real need to have the engine running whilst you start the heating system. It's diesel fired and only uses about half a litre of diesel an hour, and is a blown warm air system, and there are outlets throughout the boat. This device here is a bilge water alarm, so if there was water in the bilge, this alarm will sound and flash to alert you to a potential problem. This is a 12 volt cigarette lighter charger socket for charging phones, etc. Still at the navigation table, there is a music system for CDs, MP3 players, radio. Main purpose to get the weather forecast, but nice to have some entertainment on board as well. Next to it is the fixed VHF set. Channel up, channel down, volume, squelch. And if you have a really serious problem, you can either make a mayday, which is listed here on the sheet, or lift this hatch and press the red button in for 5 seconds. That will transmit an automatic mayday, and the Coast Guard will come back to you ASAP. There are 3 batteries on this boat. There are 2 leisure batteries located underneath this seat, and the engine battery is located underneath the pilot berth. The control switches are here, clearly labelled engine and domestic. It's a good idea to turn the engine battery off when you're just at anchor to make sure that you don't flatten the engine battery overnight and therefore can't leave in the morning. The batteries are arranged so that that shouldn't happen, but stranger things can happen. There is a third engine switch which is very difficult to see, which enables you to start the engine from the domestic batteries, and I'll show you that now. We're now looking underneath the navigator's seat on the outboard side. This red key, when put into the black circle and turned on, will allow you to start the engine from the domestic batteries. Ordinarily, that key should not be in the black hole. Situated on the front of the navigator's seat is a small switch on the outboard side. This is the circuit breaker for the anchor windlass. It's designed so that if the anchor gets stuck, rather than damage anything, it trips out. If that happens, just turn this switch on again and carry on. This can also be used to disconnect power to the windlass, particularly useful if you've got children on board. There is, though, a secondary gas tap on the right hand side beneath the cooker, which needs to be on for the cooker to work. Across the pipe is off, in line with the pipe is on. To light the cooker, the gas needs to be turned on in the gas locker and at the secondary gas tap. Then press in whichever one you wish to light, turn it clockwise, light it with the click stick or matches provided, and count to 5. Then release the button. If it's released too early, the flame will not stay lit. All the burners are fitted with gas flame failure devices, so if the flame blows out whilst you're cooking, it will just close the gas off, in which case light it again and carry on. The capacity of the water tank and diesel tank for this boat are clearly shown in the skipper's handbook. There is only one water tank, there is no manifold, no changeover, and due to the age of the boat, there is no water gauge. So it's a good idea to fill the spare water tanks in the cockpit locker before departing. The 2 emergency shut-offs we're looking at now are the emergency shut-off for the engine, which is nearest to me, and for the heating, which is furthest away. So if you had a diesel leak, pulling both these levers will isolate the tank. The water tank and diesel tank will be full to the brim before you depart. All our boats have ITT Jabsco twist and lock pumps, which are reliable and easy to use. When you've used the toilet, move this lever to the right hand position, and using the pump, about 10 or 15 strokes will empty the bowl. Move this switch to the left hand position, and using the same pump again, another 15 or 20 strokes will rinse the bowl out and clear the pipes of the boat. None of our boats have holding tanks, they are all straight to ocean, so please don't use them in a marina. The toilets will handle anything that you've eaten and small amounts of toilet paper without an issue. Putting wet wipes or any sanitary products down the toilet will block it instantly. There are many seacocks on this boat in a variety of locations. There is a plan inside the skipper's handbook showing the location of them all, but the important thing for you to know is that every seacock on the boat is open and may stay open throughout your voyage. Any critical pipes that could potentially flood the boat, such as toilet exit pipes, are looped up to the deck head and back down again, so even if the boat is really well heeled over, there is no fear of water coming into the boat. This yacht is fitted with 50 metres of chain, 50, and is marked every 10 metres. At 10 metres there is 1 mark, 20 there are 2, 30 there are 3, and so on. Yellow plastic markers you're looking for, all apart from the last set, which are red, just to give you heads up you're coming to the end of the chain. But don't worry, the bitter end is securely tied to the boat with a length of rope that could be cut in an emergency. To operate the anchor, remove the pin here and at the roller plate. These two controls are up and down, but remember it will need to be turned on at the switch behind your legs when you sat at the navigation table. Once the anchor has been deployed, there is an anchor strop in the cockpit locker with a chain hook which attaches to the chain where it goes over the bow roller and can then be secured to the Sansom post. This does two things: it's kind to the brand new windlass, but more importantly, whoever's in the forward cabin will have a much quieter night's sleep. The life raft on this boat is located on the coach roof. This piece of string here is the life raft's painter. There is about 20 metres of this tucked inside the box, and to deploy the life raft, release this quick release by pulling the red string and throw the box over the side of the boat. This will remain tied to the boat, and once it drifts away it will inflate. Then you can use that cord to pull it back to the boat, all climb in and then cut yourselves free. If the boat went under without anybody doing anything, this device here will detonate and cut through the rope and inflate the life raft. The water tank filler is located on the starboard beam. No tools are required to undo it. The gas locker on this boat is located on the starboard beam, and the Allen key to unlock it and lift it is tied to the binnacle. The diesel filler point is located under the floor where the helmsman would stand, just aft of the wheel. The instruments on Clear Blue are all located under the spray hood. Working left to right, we have speed, which is 0 because we're tied to the dock. Wind information at 14 knots. The depth is 3.6, and this is measured under the keel. So the actual depth of water here is 5.7. This is clearly explained in the skipper's handbook. The box at the far right is an outdoor speaker for the VHF. The plotter on this boat is also located under the spray hood. I'm not sure how clearly this will look on a video. but so far all we have done is turned it on. From here, press select 3 times and you'll be presented with a chart showing your current position. The really nice thing about these plotters that makes them so easy to use is the zoom in and out buttons. So let's zoom out to a more sensible scale. Move the cursor with the button to the place you want to go. Let's go to Lismore Light. Which is there. And without pressing anything or do anything, at the bottom of the screen it's telling me to steer 262 degrees compass for 5.9 nautical miles, and that would take me exactly to that spot. If you find yourself not on the screen or being presented with information that you didn't want, just turn it off, count to 5, back on again, and it will come back to the default settings. The clutches for all the main controls are located under the spray hood on this boat and are clearly labelled. From left to right, topping lift, main halyard, which has lost its label but will be replaced, outhaul, and vang, kicking strap, whatever you would like to call it. We'll now move to the starboard side. On the starboard side clutches, moving near to far, we have reef 2, reef 3, reef 1, Genoa halyard, and a spare halyard which has no specific purpose. The easiest way to put a slab reef in is to lower the main halyard, tighten the appropriate reefing line, then retighten the main halyard. All our yachts are fitted with stack packs which collect any excess sail without the need for sail ties or being out on the coach roof. To start the engine, press the button in the middle of the throttle lever and apply about 1/2 to 3/4 throttle. This allows us to have engine revs but out of gear. Now let's move to the control panel just behind you. With the throttle positioned at 1/2 to 3/4 throttle and out of gear, turn the key anti-clockwise for a count of 10 seconds, which will heat the glow plugs and allow the engine to start more quickly. Then turn the key 1 click clockwise to turn the ignition on and another click clockwise to start the engine. To stop the engine, press the black button labelled stop and turn the ignition off. This control panel is normally covered by a clear perspex window, which has been temporarily removed to allow you to see the controls more clearly. We're now at the aft end of the boat out on deck. The centre cockpit on this boat means that it's quite a long way from the steering wheel to the rudder, which involves a series of chains, gearboxes, wheels and pulleys. If anything or even everything was completely broken, this is the emergency steering access point. There is a handle in one of the drawers underneath the navigator's table which fits this metal disc. Unscrew it and the 2 pieces of what look like scaffold pole in the cockpit locker fit straight onto the rudder stock and she becomes a tiller steered boat. We do use this as an exercise when training people and it is very effective, but it's highly unlikely you'll ever have to use it. We hope you have a great time aboard Clear Blue. Please remember to take any warps with you that are being used to tie the boat up that are not shackled to the pontoon. Please remember to take the shore power lead with you or you'll not be able to connect to shore power at another marina. Please also watch the separate video about running and using the Honda outboards on all our boats. When you depart, the water tank and diesel tank will be full to the brim, and we would ask you to fill the water tank again upon return. And your last job before getting off the boat is to get diesel. The diesel pump is located on leg D for diesel, and is clearly marked from seaward. The marina will charge us and we pass that charge on to you. Please familiarise yourself with the tidal stream map that is located in our office, which will help you make a safe, stress-free departure from the berth. We hope you have an amazing holiday. Thanks for choosing Alba Sailing.